I want you to understand the specific nature of what I believed, he told me, not as a philosophical position, but as a daily reality. I did not wake up each morning and choose atheism. I woke up each morning the way you wake up to find the sun has risen. It simply was. It has always simply been. He paused. And then I died. And it wasn't. That is how a 71-year-old former philosophy professor, 40 years at a university, 3 published collections of essays arguing against the existence of God, a man who had once reduced a seminary student to tears in a public debate, tried to explain to me what he was before his heart stopped. His name, for the purposes of this account, is Martin. And Martin's heart stopped for 8 minutes and 22 seconds on a Thursday afternoon in a conference center hallway in Portland, Oregon. He is not the person he was before that Thursday. Martin taught philosophy of mind for 4 decades. He was a committed materialist. Consciousness is a function of the brain. The brain is tissue. Tissue stops when it stops, and that is the complete and entire story. He arrived at this position in his mid-20s and spent the following 45 years not just holding it, but defending it in print and in public. He was not angry at religion. He was not wounded by it. He had simply looked at the evidence, applied the most rigorous reasoning he had available, and arrived at a conclusion he found both obvious and, he admitted, slightly boring. God was a projection. Consciousness was computation. Death was a hard stop. The cardiac event happened during a break at an academic symposium. He had just finished a panel on philosophy of consciousness, appropriately enough, and was walking toward the coffee station when something dropped him to the floor without warning. No chest pain, no buildup, just gone. His colleague Gerald found him within seconds, no pulse. Gerald began compressions while someone retrieved the AED, 2 shocks, a third to stabilize the returning rhythm. Total time from cardiac arrest to sustained return of spontaneous circulation, 8 minutes and 22 seconds. 8 minutes without cardiac output, without cerebral blood flow, without any of the electrochemical activity that we, in medicine and philosophy alike, have agreed is what gives rise to thought. Martin spent those 8 minutes thinking. He will be happy to tell you how philosophically inconvenient that is. The first thing he noticed was that the cognition didn't stop. He was already on the floor, already in cardiac arrest, and he was observing himself from a position that was not where his body was. He described looking down at his own face, Gerald's hands on his chest. Near his left shoulder, a conference badge that had fallen from someone's lanyard and landed face up on the floor. I had a specific thought, he told me. I thought, this is hypoxia. This is the brain producing artifacts in its final moments. I am a philosophy of mind researcher, and I know exactly what this is. He said it with fond exasperation. The way you describe being completely wrong about something you were once very sure of. He heard Gerald's words during compressions and repeated them to me verbatim. He described a woman in a red jacket at the far end of the corridor, the direction she was facing, the tilt of her head. I reached Gerald separately, without telling him what Martin had said. Gerald confirmed the badge on the floor. He confirmed his exact words. He confirmed the woman in the red jacket. Martin was clinically dead. His eyes were closed. By every available measure, he was not there. But he was. And then the corridor dissolved, and he was somewhere else entirely. He doesn't call it a tunnel. He said that immediately, almost defensively. What he described was closer to a change in register. The way a piece of music shifts keys, not one note stopping and another beginning, but a transition so smooth you only notice it after you've arrived somewhere different. He was in a space he could not measure. Not dark, not bright. Luminous, he said, which is not the same thing as bright. And then he became aware of the presence. It wasn't a figure, he said. It wasn't light in any form I'd seen before. It was more like becoming aware that someone had been attending to you. Attending is the word. For a very long time, and you simply hadn't noticed. And then you finally stopped looking away. He paused. I expected judgment. I had spent 45 years telling people that what they believed was not real. If there was something on the other side, I had already decided what it would say to me. He picked up his coffee and didn't drink it. It said nothing. There was no record being read, no argument I had lost, no list of the times I had made someone feel foolish for believing, just warmth. The specific warmth of being completely seen and found. Like I had been waiting my entire life to be in a room where something knew exactly who I was and had no problem with it whatsoever. I spent 45 years mocking the idea of unconditional love. I thought it was a psychological defense against the reality of human contingency. And then I was inside it. And it was not a story. It was the most factual thing I have ever experienced. He looked at his hands. I've spent 3 weeks trying to build the argument that dismantles that. I take a premise and I test it until it breaks. I've tested this one from every angle I know how to approach. He shook his head. It doesn't break. Now let me tell you what the research says about this. In 2014, Dr. Sam Parnia published the AWARE study, the largest prospective study of cardiac arrest and consciousness ever conducted. 2,060 patients across 15 hospitals. 39% reported awareness during cardiac arrest. 9% described full near-death experiences. And in specific cases, perceptions during clinical death were verified against what actually happened in the room, details the patients could not have accessed. Bruce Grayson has spent over 40 years investigating near-death experiences at the University of Virginia. More than 100 peer-reviewed papers. In his book After, he states something that bears directly on Martin's case. There is no association between prior religious belief and whether someone has a near-death experience or what it looks like. Atheists have the same type of experience as believers. Let me say that again. Atheists have the same type of experience. The NDRF database, over 5,000 accounts analyzed by Dr. Jeffrey Long, found that 75% of self-identified atheists reported encountering a divine being. And self-reported belief in God among atheists and agnostics moved from 24% to 82% after their experience. Not from sermons, not from argument. From 8 minutes of something they cannot explain. Martin laughed when I read him that statistic. So I'm not special, he said. I'm just in the 75th percentile of atheists who get surprised. Here is the thing I almost didn't say. After my own experience in 2019, after I woke up on that operating table knowing the exact words the anesthesiologist had spoken while my heart wasn't beating, I spent months constructing explanations. 22 years in the ICU teaches you to do that. REM intrusion, hypoxic cortical events, temporal lobe activity, retrograde memory construction. I applied each model to my own experience. They kept not fitting. Martin told me that what unsettled him most was not the love or the presence or the absence of judgment. What unsettled him most was its resistance to the test. I know what it feels like when an argument fails, he said. I know the moment the premises don't hold. I kept applying that test, and the door stayed shut. Every direction I came at it from, it held. If you are someone who has spent your life certain, there is nothing on the other side of this. I'm not going to argue with you. Martin spent 45 years being certain, and I spent 22 years being functionally certain, and I think certainty on this question tends to look smaller the closer you get to the evidence. What I can offer you is what Martin came back with. Not a religion, not a doctrine, not a list of rules for what you're supposed to believe now. He came back with the specific report of a man who spent 8 minutes somewhere his entire intellectual framework said he couldn't be, and who has not been able to construct the argument that puts him back in the position he was in before. He came back saying that the thing he had most dreaded, if any of it were real, was not there. The judgment was not there. What was there was the kind of attention you would spend your entire life hoping someone would pay to you, if you believed anything was paying attention at all. The most confident, no I've ever encountered, coming back with something it couldn't name. If you are grieving someone, if you are sitting with the terror that the person you lost is simply gone, I can't give you a certainty. Nobody honest can. But I can give you Martin. 71 years. 45 years of the most committed no I've encountered in all my time with the dying and the almost dying. And on the other side of the no, warmth. Not judgment, warmth. And the specific warmth of being held by something that had been waiting for you to turn around for a very long time. He didn't feel mocked, he was held. Take care of each other.